Dinner date is one of the most psychopathic things on earth as a first date. A first date dinner, that's insane. I would rather go to a grocery store and share a rotisserie chicken in the parking lot.
Honestly, it sounds like a great time.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Sequoia.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I just got back from a big adventure throughout Manhattan day. We saw a friend near Central Park. Then we went down to Bryant Park to see other friends. I had to power walk with the stroller to catch both ferries that we caught today. So it's been a good one.
You're a big power walk to the ferry guy.
I genuinely love it. We live close to a ferry station, so we use the ferry quite a bit. I love waiting until the last minute.
Right.
Until I absolutely must leave the house.
Keep things exciting. Yeah.
But also, man, I'm just a fast walker in general.
Right.
I walk with purpose.
Right. You got places to be. You got places to be. Me, no places to be. I've been in my apartment all day long.
So it's been a good one.
So it's been great.
Fantastic.
So here's the deal, is that we have a special guest.
We do.
And, little peek behind the curtain, we recorded this interview a while ago.
Yes, we did. I like doing this thing where we have the time jumps. Like in the last episode, we got to make the cool Jeff Bezos, Sydney Sweeney diss.
Exactly.
And now this one, the first episode's already released. We're recording this on July 18th.
Yeah.
So let's say something that will be relevant now and maybe will age poorly. Laboo-boo. So...
I don't get it.
I
don't understand.
I don't want to. It's like fashionable Furby keychain. I don't need it.
We had Furbies. We had them, and those talked.
Right. At least those, became sentient. What is a...
At least those haunted you.
At least a
actively.
Tamagotchi pooped. What? What is Laboo-boo? No, but I don't even want to ask this.
But don't tell us.
Don't tell me. I don't want to use my brain space on knowing what it is. Please. Anyway, this episode will also feature a Gen Z Introvert Vibe check if you couldn't tell.
Yes, it will. So we're going to have our lovely episode with our fantastic guest. Then we're going to get into the Introvert Gen Z Vibe check, and we hope you enjoy.
Yes, please do. So, as promised, we are here for a landmark occasion for professional talkers. It is the first time we are bringing in an external professional talker to the program for this episode where we're going to be covering avoiding awkwardness on a first date. And it made perfect sense to bring in someone who you might know from their sex and relationships writing for GQ, or their sex and relationships advice column for Bustle, or their book, Well, This Is Exhausting, or their very good social media presence as @OneFollowerNoDad. It's Sophia Beniot. Sophia, how are you? How's it going?
I'm great. It's going great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I also love talking, so... a perfect topic.
It's great to meet you. We said, let's do a romantic relationships one for episode 2. And we decided that we needed an expert to come in and help us out with this one. And Mike knew immediately who we were going to call. So I'm really excited to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so beyond flattered and excited to be here. So thanks.
Before we get into the meat of it, we have a little icebreaker question just to kick things off. What is the worst someone's ever butchered the pronunciation of your name, first name, or last name, or both together?
My first name, because it's become so popular, when I was little, it wasn't. But I think people usually get Sophia right. But the last name gets butchered a lot because it's French, and the French are just making letters up, and they don't know what they're doing. I've gotten Benoit a lot. That makes sense. Bennett, which just feels like we're going in a different direction. And the worst, though, I think, is I sometimes have gotten like beignet, and I'm like, that.
Whoa.
That's the worst one I've gotten, for sure.
That just feels like they saw a French word, they saw a B and a T, and were like, yeah, great, perfect.
Yeah, I know what's in the middle here. Don't worry. It's a tasty treat that we all love in New Orleans.
I really love it, especially when people insert letters that weren't there. And I think it's really funny, though, to do it when your last name is French, because there are a lot of, like, I didn't think that letter was in there.
Like, let's be honest, the word Benoit, it should not be Benoit. Like that, honestly, they're correct. It's hard to want to give the French anything. So when someone butchers my last name, I'm like, you're on the right side of history. Don't worry.
Go for it.
You were correct. The French should not have done this.
It's a lot less understandable. When I was in high school, there was a substitute PE teacher that read my name, Sequoia, and for some reason it came out Sequoia. And I was like, there's no H anywhere in the name. There's not even a second S.
Or like a TIA. Yeah,
like
there's
anything?
nothing.
They really freestyled there. They really said, it's time to take this name into my own hands and make it my own.
They really did. They said, you know what I want your name to be?
Secretion.
Yeah.
But now, Sequoia. Here we are.
Mhm.
So, the topic at hand today, we're trying to talk all about awkward first dates, how to get out of them, how to survive them, all of that. Sophia, is there a particular awkward date story from personal experience you would want to share, or do you want to just stay out of it and just be on the advice side of things?
I mean, I'm happy to share. I will say that I have not been on that many first dates because I was a very late bloomer in a lot of ways. And then if there was ever an opportunity, it was more like hookups in college. So I finally kind of started dating after college, and I did go on one. I mean, I went on multiple first dates, but the one that really sticks out is like, oh, this was kind of bad, was that I got set up on a blind first date, which I was fine with. But my boss set me up because his friend had heard about my Twitter and really liked me from there. And I guess had like asked him to set us up, which I didn't really realize was the dynamic until I got there, which was already a little weird.
Oh, that sucks.
So they just kind of like know you already in some way and you don't know them at all.
Yes. And also they have like an impression of like a dynamic that isn't there, of like they're thinking that you're like, I think he thought that I was important, and I was like, I'm just like a random lady. Like, let's first of all get on the same level there. Like, I am not anything. This is a Twitter account where I share the dumbest thoughts you've ever had. So that was already like kind of odd. And then the conversation never really flowed. And then there was a point where like, this is going to sound so nuts, but he was talking about relativity and time passing faster the further away you are from objects or something. Or he like mentioned it randomly, and I responded with that. And he was like, oh my God, I can't believe you know that. And spent like way too long almost becoming condescending about the fact that I would know this, what it is.
What?
Then it got into that he was a puppeteer. And I was like, there's just like too many things in a row happening. And no offense to all the puppeteers out there, but I was like, I think I gotta go. I think we're good. I think we're good here.
Yeah, so many strikes and then you're out.
And he was very nice. I just want to be clear. He was very nice, but it was exactly awkward first date where you're like, oh. Bad first date is actually easier to get out of in my mind than awkward first date, because if somebody's rude or something, then it's very easy to be like, I need to remove myself from the situation. And if I end up hurting your feelings, you've already done something unkind or crappy. But when someone's so nice, that's
the hard
one.
For sure. Mike, do you have any bad first date stories?
So I'm in a similar situation where I was fortunate in that like a lot of my relationships were kind of just like naturally forming out of like friend groups or things in college and groups post-college and stuff. So I haven't been on like a lot of like explicit like dates and never like a dating app date. But the one that really comes to mind is in high school. One of my friends set me up with his girlfriend's twin sister.
Oh.
I feel like I knew that going into it. So I don't think it was like a complete surprise thing.
Uh-huh.
And I remember being like, okay, my friend's girlfriend is nice. Like the three of us had hung out before, and I was like, she's cool. So like I would assume her sister is probably cool too. And then her sister was just very different and just like not the right fit for me. But because I was like a sophomore in high school, it wasn't the kind of situation where I could just like immediately move on. I was like, well, maybe this should work. And I feel like I should try. And I'm being rude if I'm not like really giving it my all. And it was some sort of thing where like it was a double date situation. So it wasn't just like blind date of like, oh, you should go out with my girlfriend's sister. It was like, let's the four of us do something. And it wasn't great. But then me being me, I was just like, well, I should really see this through. And we ended up talking for like way too long. And the funniest part of it is that I'm trying to do this so hard without giving names, but her name was very similar in spelling to my friend's name. So there was one time where I was texting my friend, the one who set us up, about how poorly it was going. And then, of course, I accidentally sent it to her.
Oh, no.
I was at a basketball game with my dad when that happened, so I didn't pay attention to the game the whole time. Then my dad got mad at me for being on my phone all night. It was rough. Really bad.
Also, though, that means that her twin sister is dating a guy with almost the same name as her twin.
Oh God, this is so hard. This is so hard. Okay, it would be like this. If the name Adam had a full name, and that's how that dude normally went by, say it was Adam Finney or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one person who called him Adam for short. And then it would be if this girl's name was Addie. So
okay.
Most people called the dude his full longer multisyllabic name. I was the only person who one syllable nicknamed him.
Okay.
So it wasn't super weird like that.
Wow. That's rough, Mike. That's really rough. That aftermath is a little harrowing.
The after was way worse than the actual date itself.
That's not good. Certainly not good.
That's why we have other people here giving the advice, because I don't have it. And Sequoia, I guess, to close it all out, any bad or memorable or notable first dates?
How much time do we have here on the podcast? No, I've had 2 pretty standout bad first dates. One of them I'm going to leave to talk about while we're doing our advice and pitfalls section of the podcast.
Okay.
As an example, but the one I really remember, I went to coffee with this guy I was an OK Cupid girly back in the day. Yeah. Early college. And I went on a date with this guy who, he didn't ask me a question the whole time. Tale as old as time, honestly. But he was one of the most pretentious people I've ever met. He went on this whole rant about the pigeons in Trafalgar Square. He was you can only go so many times to see the pigeons in Trafalgar Square until they're just pigeons.
How does that come up on a first date?
In Utah.
Yeah, in Utah.
What?
Yeah. I feel like this guy just talked so much that he talked himself all of the way to the pigeons in Trafalgar Square.
I wonder if he has a cork board with planned steps to get to the pigeons. He wants to bring it up on every date. So he's how do I get there? Okay.
He's playing the Wikipedia game, but always just trying to get to
the
pigeons in Trafalgar Square.
Yes.
How can I say that I've been to London many, many times without actually saying it, And
in the worst way possible.
Worst
I
way.
love pigeons. I defend them, but
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to talk about a specific area of pigeons and try to relate that to the human experience.
Truly.
All right, so let's get into the advice and to the pitfalls. Now, I think more of the advice, or at least the advice that I kind of had centered on, was specifically for one that is not going well, is where I'm mainly coming from it. But Sequoia, how many pieces of advice do you have total?
Let me get out my legal pad.
You also got a legal
I have
pad.
a legal
Yay,
pad.
good.
I have 3 pieces of advice today.
I have 4, but 2 are kind of linked, so we can just call it 3 and 3.
Gotcha.
And then we can trade.
Mike, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. My first one, which is very much centered on how to avoid the bad date from happening, is to do pre-production prep work to eliminate all of the particular things that could go wrong.
Okay.
So it's much like with podcasting. It's so much easier to fix stuff pre than in post.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you do a lot of things that can make sure that you're not going to be on an awkward date, that's actually the best way to salvage an awkward date, is to not go on one in the first place. So I feel like if someone's setting you up, that would be asking more questions about what they're like and getting a little bit of a sense of it. Same thing with dating apps, try to do as much messaging to make sure at least to get out the big yikes kind of deal breaker stuff, whether that be, if you're looking for something serious, making sure that they are on the same timeline of or at least same perspective for, do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? Those kind of things. And then even other smaller things, if there's complete deal breaker things with, politics or whatever it be that would just make you absolutely not want to do it. So I feel like that's kind of like the no-brainer first step of just like get those all out of the way. And then if other awkwardness comes through from like personality stuff you couldn't glean from these, then sure. But you can kind of check a lot of boxes, I think, before the date even begins.
I feel like subsection A of that is like read the person's whole profile on the dating app. You know, I feel like there are people who go out there and they like look at the pictures or they look at like a couple of the prompts or something, but they don't actually actively read the whole thing. And then they are surprised by, you know, something that a person believes or says or does that was like actively right there in the profile.
I do think that a lot of people want to move on from talking from dating apps so quickly, and they're just like, let's set up a date and meet in person. You can get a lot of awkward conversation out of the way on the dating app and through messaging, and it's a lot easier to cut off communication that way than to do it in person when you're like, we have an appetizer on the way and I want to leave.
Right. That was actually the question that I had for you with this, because I feel like that is the instinct. A lot of people, you want to like figure it out in the moment. You want to see like if there's a spark as opposed to talking too much. And then you could even get to the thing kind of like with your Twitter where like you have this idea in your head of what this person is like.
Yes.
So in your perspective, what do you think is like the right line to toe of like talking enough on the dating app, but not too much to where you're kind of watering down what the first date would be or like taking away from potentially like magic moments at that first date?
I mean, my genuine thought on the idea of chemistry is that most chemistry is just anxiety. So I think that you should just ignore the idea of chemistry. But in conjunction with that, I think that if you run out of things to talk to with somebody, that's maybe not a great sign anyway. I do think that first dates are kind of an artificial, hard thing to like sit through. It's not the same as like when you have a crush on your friend and you're dying and you're like, I think that we actually belong together and we hang out every day. And I think probably, you know, and it will never feel that way when you go out on a Tinder date with somebody, you know, that's just, it's never going to feel the same. So I think it's a hard balance of like, I want to find out more. I don't want to ruin everything by talking too much online and over messaging and we have nothing to talk about in person. But I guess I would say, like, you need to be doing, like, 15 to 30 messages minimum per each person. So that, like you said, there's at least a little bit of an idea of who this is as a communicator. So I don't think you should be, like, messaging every single day or every single hour for certain between when you set up the date and when the date happens. But I think before you even get to let's meet in person, there should be, like, a chunk of communication that tells you, like, this person could be attractive to me.
I like that number because that is enough messages, I think, to get to weeding out the thing I was saying about people who don't ask you any questions. If you're just like, okay, let's immediately set up something, then you might not know that they are not going to ask any questions. But if you message a few times and you like get through like 10 or so messages and you've been asking the questions every time, I will just like stop. I'm just going to stop messaging. And you can either ask me a question or I guess we're not messaging anymore.
I mean, I think that's the crux of this whole thing is really is questions. That's at the end of the day going to be my answer for everything is ask questions. You should want to find out about the other person.
Right.
Are there particular questions that you think work best earlier on or ones that work better for messaging versus like for the actual date that you've set up?
I mean, I think on messaging, you can do stupider questions, if that makes sense, like sillier questions. Like,
Sure.
I don't think everything should be like beach or mountains or like coffee or tea. Like, I think we've kind of moved past that. But I think you can be a little bit more ridiculous with them. It doesn't have to be, where did you grow up and what was it like and what's the dynamic between you and your siblings and how are your parents, are they really in love? Like, we don't need to get down there. But like, so you can do like more surface level-y stuff of like, oh my God, where did you grow up? And again, more surface level. And then when you get in person, I think you can do the more in-depth questions that would actually require a long response that no one wants to type up.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Sequoia, what's your first piece of advice?
I also have a preparation piece of advice.
Great.
And I'll tell you, I was getting my hair cut. And my barber was asking me all about this podcast. And
Oh, Our first listener.
Yeah. And I was telling my barber all about the podcast. And he said, "Oh, what's the next one you're doing?" And I was like, "Oh, we're doing Bad First Dates." And he gave me this piece of advice, which I am now imparting upon you. Folks, this is straight from my barber. Planning to go to get a drink in a way that can be extended if you would like it to be extended. So, like, you have in mind that, like, there's a restaurant next to this bar that you really like that you could go get dinner afterwards. Or you have the drink, it's not a good time, and then you can be like, the drink is over. This is what I said I would do, and then you can go along your merry way.
I also think it's important on the exact same note to have something in the morning that you establish early on, real or otherwise. Like, oh, yeah, so I probably am going to have to get going early or like get to bed early because I have a big meeting tomorrow.
Right.
Just so you know, like saying it up front. And then later you can just be like, I don't really give a shit about the meeting tomorrow. Again, it could be a fake meeting, but
Right.
if you really want to go get your back blown out, the meeting doesn't matter anymore. So you're on your merry way. But I think you have to I like to lay the seeds of like, I might leave and it's not personal.
Right.
And then later when you're Hansel and Greteling your way away from the witch's house and out of the forest, you're like, remember the meeting if it's bad, you know?
Right.
Right.
Exactly. The very important meeting. Yes.
That could even become like, it could make the other person feel better about how it went because it could just be like, oh my God, she had that big important meeting and she stayed up with me until midnight. Wow.
That's fine. They can think that's great. As long as you have the important thing coming up tomorrow that you cannot miss and cannot be tired for. And then again, if you end up being really tired for your fake meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m., that's okay. But you have to make sure that you have something.
I think that's really smart to have it right off the jump. And like, even maybe that person even knows it's a lie, but like
That's fine.
That's fine. Like we're all adults. We all know what's going on
That's
here.
totally fine. A pleasant lie that is a social contract lie is like, that's the best thing. That when people decided that like radical honesty was important, I was like, we're really getting off track here, guys. We got to go back to lying. Lying's amazing. A nice little pleasant lie like that means nothing and will only make the person feel better. We love it.
Yeah.
This ties right into another one of my, it actually ties into one of my pitfalls, which is like, don't make your lie nuts, right? Like, don't, like, people are like, oh, text me and I'll call you and I'll tell you that your apartment's on fire.
Yes.
And you're like,
Right.
that's just going to make somebody feel bad. When you're making the plan or when you get there and you immediately establish a, like, even sort of believable lie, then everybody feels good and it's fine.
In high school, I definitely used the pretend my phone was ringing and it was my mom calling to make me come home. And this was more like a group hangout kind of thing, not like a explicitly set up date. But I was not sneaky. I failed the deception check. She knew and didn't go well.
That's all right. That's all right. I feel like it's so much easier if you set up what the thing is in advance for yourself. And you're
Right.
like, this is my, I need to get out of it lie. And so that way you're not going like, oh my God, all my parakeets escaped. I have to run. I just got a notification.
You're setting yourself up for the parakeet lie early in the day. You're like, well, I have 12
I have these
parakeets.
parakeets.
And they do have trackers on them. I will know if they leave my house on accident. I have someone stopping by to feed them. So if you want to go elaborate, you do need to seed a lot of information into it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the earlier you say the thing that you could use as the lie later, the more believable it is. And then overall, whether or not, we're talking about the honest lie, it would at least just make the situation less awkward, even if the person knows or thinks it might be fake, because at least we've established, hey, I have this thing, regardless if it's true.
Yeah.
I would so much rather somebody else on a date with me that they're not enjoying. I would rather them be like, hey, I have to go let my dog out. Even if they've never had a dog in their life, then somebody sit there and either one, give me brutally honest feedback, which they couldn't possibly do because it's a first date. So they don't know enough about me to be that honest or truthful or insightful. Or two, I don't want them to sit through a date with me that's going longer and longer that they are not enjoying. Like, please
True.
leave. Please go let your dog
Yeah.
out. Let me go back to my house and watch the worst thing on Netflix that exists. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Please.
Exactly.
Because like even if you're having fun, I would if I learned after the fact that this person had a miserable time, I would feel so bad for wasting even 30 minutes of their life.
Yes.
I would feel guilty.
Go get your parakeets, girl. Bye.
Get 'em. Yeah. So, Corey, that's perfect because my number 2 was allow an escape/extension. So do some sort of thing where, you're getting drinks. If it didn't go great, you've each had your drink, you part ways. Even if you do the honest thing where you kind of just admit to each other, like, is this working out? No? Okay, cool, great. Thanks, we tried, bye. Like, depending on how honest you want to be. But then, yeah, if it went really well, then you can get another round. It also just allows for you both to decide something where you finish the drinks and then you can be like, would you like another round or whatever? And then that person can either say like no or throw in some sort of excuse or something like that. But on the flip side, this also allows for an extension. If it's going well, you can stay at the bar later, or you can do something that like easily transitions. This might just be like a New York thing, but I guess like any city that has like walkability in parks and stuff, I feel like a normal thing you could do is start a date, be like, let's meet in a park just to like chat or, walk through Central Park or whatever. And then if it's going well, you can be like, hey, do you want to grab a coffee? Or you could do the reverse, like meet for coffee near a park. If it's going well, walk through the park. I think you can try to think of ways to extend it if it's going well. And then ultimately, like, you just don't want to do something that's like locking you in for a long amount of time, like a full meal, a full movie. Like that can be pretty tough.
10-course meal. Yeah.
A dinner date is one of the most psychopathic things on earth as a first date. A first date dinner, that's insane. I would rather go to a grocery store and share a rotisserie chicken in the parking lot.
That honestly sounds like a great time.
It's a lot better than a first date. Like, what are we doing waiting? And then you're waiting on a chat. The whole thing is just so much time and pressure for a first date. We should have seen each other's bedrooms before we're having dinner together at a restaurant. Like,
then you're also like doing that awkward dance where you're trying to find out like what like number of dollar signs you're going to a restaurant for.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's not a first date experience.
You just trying to like slowly suss out what class somebody is in, being like, are you richer than me and this is going to be weird? Or am I being an asshole and suggesting a place that is way out of your budget and you are like, you're the clown?
Right, exactly.
Well, I'll go to my next piece of advice that was not one that you already gave. This is more specifically, if it doesn't seem like it's going well, whether you're trying to salvage it or you're just trying to not make it a miserable experience, just make it fun. Try to make it a fun time for the both of you if you're hoping it goes well. But also if you've decided like this is not going anywhere, but you are still like waiting for them to finish their drink. Or I was talking to my friend Steven, who is more on the apps, and he was giving me some advice and some pitfalls based on his experiences. He was saying that like there was one in particular, they met for drinks and then she ordered food and it was like, well, we're locked in, and it didn't go well. So he was like, well, I just tried to make it fun for me. So I just started asking her like sillier questions and questions that were, not just the standard sort of like easy peasy stuff, because I don't see a future here, but at least we could have a fun chat. And if she gives wild answers, at least it's a fun story. But like she had done something to lock it in to be longer than he wanted it to be. So just tried to make the most of it. So I think whether it's good or bad, you want to save it or not, just try to make it fun because you're there for at least some moment in time. So try to bring up the enjoyment factor. And hey, maybe by being a little more exciting, you kind of steer the ship in the right direction. And ooh, look at us. We're having fun now.
Yeah. There is an amount of time you've got to give it, right?
Yeah.
You can't decide in the first like 15 minutes of a date that it's bad unless they're saying some wild shit. Unless they're coming in with like really hot takes or saying like bad stuff. Then you can decide that it's bad at 15 minutes. But like it takes people a little while to warm up.
I do think it's also like at the end of the day, you're meeting a new person, and whether you like them romantically or not, I feel like if you don't have any curiosity about other people other than romantically, which obviously, again, I know that's the purpose of a date, but if you don't have any capacity for like, this is still cool to meet a person and how lucky am I that they wanted to meet me? If you don't have any awareness of that, you probably shouldn't be dating in general. So I feel like just like the idea of open-mindedness, I don't know, maybe that's the person in me that was a late bloomer, but I always am like, you should feel pretty grateful that someone's on a date with you. That's a very nice thing. Someone's giving you their time, give them a chance, give them
Right.
time to open up and get less awkward if they are, or whatever it may be, like you never know. Even if it's not romantic, it could be valuable too. It's like, again, you're learning about a person. That's just like a nice thing to happen.
I think especially with things that are higher effort, like going from a dating app thing to an actual date, like there's been a lot of effort put into making this happen. So the least you can do is try to put in the effort while you're there, get to know the person. And then, maybe this is just the extrovert in me talking, but like, I don't know, the worst case scenario is that you meet a person, cool. Obviously, there's ways that it can go way worse.
Totally.
I can only imagine as straight white guy here, like I can only imagine that my people can be absolutely unbearable on these sorts of dates. And I've never had to experience it, but I'm sure it's different on the other side. But like, aside from that, like, you have a chat with someone. If it doesn't work out, like, whatever. I don't know. I think getting back to the, like, we're all adults here. Like, we know what we went in here. We know what we're trying to do. We were putting in effort. We put on clothes. We made our way to this place. Like, let's at least give it its proper go. And then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to our first time actually diving in to the mid-roll break. We put a little musical stinger in the first one, and we might put ads in it. I'm not sure quite yet, but
We'll see.
not every time we do one of these breaks will it be advertising. Sometimes it will be us just talking about stuff, whether that be exciting updates for things coming with the podcast. Maybe we have a live show coming up. Maybe we are working on the book. Maybe there's new things that we did on the Patreon. But what we're trying to do for some of these mid-roll breaks is just chatting the two of us to you, letting you know what's going on with the podcast, especially because we often record these way in the past. Maybe things have developed into the future.
We've alluded to some of our Patreon bonus content in the episodes so far, in episode 1 and episode 2. But I think we should tell everybody exactly what we got up there right now, because I think there's some really fun stuff.
There is some really fun stuff, and we can also break down what's going on for the particular tiers, because we do have multiple tiers. As of recording this, we have 7 patrons. That's very cool. Thank you to those 7 patrons. And here's what we've got. We have 3 tiers. The first tier is called Talking Neophyte. That's for $5 a month. You get ad-free episodes. You get early release episodes. We thank you in the episode after you join, which we'll be doing that here in a little bit. And then we'll do some Patreon-only posts from time to time. You'll get access to it. We have 6 people currently in our Talking Apprentice tier.
Ooh.
That's $10 a month. You get everything from before. You'll also get monthly bonus episodes. This month, you actually got 2. You got episode 1, take 1, and then you also got us doing the awkward gauntlet. And then we'll also post behind-the-scenes content. One thing that I'm putting up there is a little director's commentary where I kind of gave some behind-the-scenes things about what went into the production of the first episode, both the audio version and the video version. And then we have our top tier, Talking Protege, for $25 a month. You get everything from the previous tier. You get a shout-out in the credits of every single episode, and you'll get the ability to suggest topics for future episodes. Ooh, how exciting. That's something we're going to bring to the Patreon. I feel like it'll be the highest tiers, maybe giving suggestions. Maybe we vote between things on the Patreon, but we want that to be a collaborative community space for everyone.
And if you want a little teaser of what's coming next month for the bonus episode, we are doing our own Films to be Buried With, which is Brett Goldstein's podcast about movies. And we took the question format from that and asked each other those questions. And so if you want to hear more about movies that we love and some movies that we don't love, that'll be up next month.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Now, let's take that time to thank the people who did join. So shout out to the people who joined at our $10 Talking Apprentice tier. That's Camille Loves Tea, Nicole Abbey, Allison Gupta, Rebecca Sikor, Anna Reed, and Apollo Diviana. And then shout out to our one lone member at the $5 Talking Neophyte tier, Kendra Copeland. Thank you all so much for the support. That's really cool. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And also thanks to everyone who came to the podcast premiere picnic. If you came through, we're recording before it happened. but this episode will come out after it happened.
And people will have come through.
They will. And they will have gotten these stickers, which I'm showing on the screen.
Oh,
Ooh.
heck yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to see. I don't know if we want to mail those out to patrons or give it away at future events. We'll
have some
see,
leftover.
because we're definitely going to have some leftover stickers. So,
Heck yeah.
But yeah, fun stuff happening. Reminder that you can follow us on social media. We're at ProTalkPod. If you want to watch video episodes, you can go to our YouTube page, which is youtube.com/@professional talkers. And if you subscribe to that, that'd be really cool, because YouTube does this not cool thing where you can't get money off the ads on your videos until you have 1,000 subscribers, but they can run ads whenever they want.
Hate it.
If you want to fight the man, subscribe.
Google is the man.
Yes. No, unless they're listening, then you're the man.
Come on the pod.
Sponsor us, Google. But yes, enough mid-roll break. I think that kind of settles it, and we can continue on with the rest of this episode.
Woohoo.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a next piece of advice, Sequoia?
I do. I have a final piece of advice, and it is, as promised, related to a story.
All right, let's strap in, baby.
This was a failing on my part, which is why I've experienced it, and now I am imparting this advice. The advice is, if the activity is not something that you want to do, don't do it, because it doesn't matter. In some cases, it doesn't matter how much you are liking this person. If you're not liking the activity, it's going to sour the whole thing. My story is that I am terrified of aquariums.
Oh.
I am afraid of the ocean.
Okay.
And the things that live there. And an aquarium is them taking those things and putting them in a space where you get to be next to them, and that's not anything I want to be doing. And I met this person at a online community gathering, and he asked me out. I was like very excited about the date, and then he picked me up and didn't tell me where we were going. We arrived at the aquarium, and I had to make a split-second decision where I was like, am I going to go into this aquarium or am I not going to go into the aquarium? But it's a first date, and I was kind of like, I was young, and I was kind of like, is it wild on a first date to be like, I'm afraid of aquariums? So I went into the aquarium. It was a terrible date. I had a terrible time. Really nice guy, but I was so terrified the whole time of all the fish. So if you're in a situation where there's an activity and you don't want to be doing that activity for whatever reason, say something. Be like, hey, can we pivot? Can we pivot to something else?
I also don't like the ocean. I don't think we should be in it. I don't think
Yes.
it's our business.
Mhm.
That's not where we belong.
Truly.
I'm not as terrified of aquariums, but I definitely am terrified of the ocean and just underwater. So I agree. Get up. I think also, though, like, it leads into a good tip, which is like, as much as you can on a first date, which is so difficult to do, but as much as you can, be like very vocally yourself, but not just like be you, but like don't be your best self. Like, not because you're trying to weed people out, but because like you don't want somebody that only likes you on your best behavior and only likes communicating with you on your best behavior. So I feel like it's not a job interview. You're not trying to trick somebody so that they hire you and give you a paycheck and then you become shitty, which is what a job interview is for.
Yes, that's what
Just
jobs
kidding.
are.
If any prospective employers hear this, just joking. But it's not that. It's like the opposite of that. Like, I want you to like the version of me that I bring in here today, and I want to like the version of you that you bring in here today. So I feel like the most, like, again, I'm not saying be your worst self, just a little bit be your worst self. I think you should voice those things and feel comfortable voicing those things. And I think when it doesn't feel comfortable to voice those things, yes, there's such a thing as first date nerves, obviously, but I feel like it should set some alarm off in your head that's like, I'm trying really hard to impress this person, which is not what a first date is. Like, a first date should not be about impressing another person or them impressing you. It should just be like, here's what we've got. Do you like it, or like, what's up? And that's what it is. Like,
you want to be like your truest self, not like the idealized version of yourself. And you want to be able to, like, it's not necessarily like show your warts, but it's not like don't try to like hide any particular thing so that they get the full picture. This reminds me of one of my other podcasts is a podcast where I'm going through the Percy Jackson books. And on that show, I'm usually very like positive and like uplifting. It's like they're kids' books, like all of that. And then every now and then on an episode, I will just be like scathing against someone I don't like. I recently went on a big anti-Dax Shepard rant.
Oh, yeah, he's awful.
Yeah. And this was before I learned that he's like actually a bad person, like weird anti-trans stuff and that. So because I later learned that, I kept it in the episode. But there were definitely a couple people who commented like, wasn't it weird that Mike just like dunked on Dax Shepard for like 5 minutes in this episode? It's like, this is because people don't know that like, I love to be like a positive, upbeat person, but I also love like seething hatred for people that have wronged me or that I think are doing bad things. So I think, yeah, you want to like show that full picture on the date so that people don't misunderstand who you are.
Yes, like I think this comes especially for people who have been socialized as women that, you know, I'm worried I texted him too many times in a row or like I don't want to double text or something like that. And I'm like, if somebody doesn't like you because you're communicating too frequently with them, that's first of all an insane deal breaker, but also you should very much want them to find deal breakers in you if it's going to be a deal breaker in 3 months. So like you should want them to figure out if you're a deal breaker. Like that will suck, that will be sad, but like I would like you to like the version of me that I'm actually going to be in 5 months and in 8 months, especially if you're looking for long-term stuff. Like you're going to get a double text from me. So if that's bad, okay, first of all, you're a baby, but second of all, then break the deal because that's what you're getting. And I think it's also a little bit like what you said is those moments of like vulnerability, like lean into them, because the worst thing that happens is you are too vulnerable. Worst thing, you shared too much of like who you actually are. And now a person, again, gets to know you. And usually that invites more vulnerability, which begets more vulnerability. And like, I think any opportunity you have to be vulnerable genuinely and not just like the oversharing version of vulnerable where you're like
trauma dumping at the bar.
Yeah, like let's get into my parents' divorce tonight. Like we can get to the bottom of it. Like I think the actual vulnerability of being like, hey, this to use your example, like, hey, the aquarium is kind of freaking me out. Not gonna lie to you.
Right.
Oceans aren't my thing. Could we just like walk around this place until we find another idea? Like which maybe is a little like I don't think it's embarrassing, but maybe it feels embarrassing in the moment. Or just like you have that social urge to not do that. Right. You have the social urge to like say yes and go forward with the date. Like, I think you should fight those things and just be like, again, I'm going to be, if this person doesn't like me, that's not going to kill me.
Sure.
In the words of my very Italian grandfather, can they eat you? When my aunt was worried about her doctoral thesis and going and defending her doctoral thesis, and she called her dad, and my grandpa was like, well, can they eat you? And she was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, can they eat you? And she said, no. And he was like, then why are you worried?
That's great.
And that was like the end of the discussion for him. He was like, okay. And so like that's, I think, is as much as you can, the energy to bring to a first date is like this, you can't eat me. The worst you can do is not like me. Okay. You know?
Right.
So good. That's perfect advice. Gosh, I love Italian grandparents. That's top notch.
That was his first thought was, can they eat you?
So
no,
good.
what?
Smart. So smart. So smart. Okay, should we quickly get into pitfalls? I feel like a lot of my pitfalls have kind of already been touched on, so it can kind of just be ancillary. My big one was just don't lie, in terms of like not the little lie to get out of it, but in terms of like big picture stuff, or even just like lying about how it's going.
Yeah.
I think especially the advice we just gave about like the vulnerability and trying to like find not the red flags, but the deal breakers as soon as you can. This is an especially true thing for if you are dating later in life, because like when you're in your 30s, like a 3-month relationship like that fizzles out, it's like, damn it. Like that's 3 more months I could have been like finding the right person. So if you're trying to lie to make it go well, it's only going to make things worse later on.
Yeah.
And if your lies about leaving are too obvious and you haven't done stuff before, that's bad. So it's just like honesty is the best policy. You can do the little things to like escape the date, but in the grand scheme of things, you're only going to set yourself up for failure if you are fabricating severely on the course of the date.
You're looking for someone who likes you. So like that's what you're looking for. So like if you keep lying, you found someone who likes the lie you told them, not you. Like there's no point in lying. They're not going to like you in 2 months.
Right.
When the jig is up. Like
it's very much like if you can't handle me at my I hate aquariums, then you don't deserve me at a 10-course dinner, you know?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this also, though, is advice like I would give myself, which is don't even do like the little tiny lies that you think like are making things going a little bit better. Like if someone says like, have you seen this show or seen this movie? Definitely back in time, like I would lie to try and like seem cool. Like, oh yeah, I've seen The Godfather 100%. Like, because especially on a first date, there's nothing that someone loves more than explaining something they love to someone else and explaining why they love it. So if they ask you, have you seen the new season of Severance? And they're like, no. And you're like, what? You know, at least something fun can come from it. So I feel like even kind of those little white lies can also set you up for failure because you're potentially removing the fun opportunity to talk about something, or like this is definitely I don't know if this would work in the world now, but Mike Schubert's college move would be talk about like a nostalgic film like Space Jam or High School Musical or something, and then if that person hadn't seen it, then it was like, oh well, the second date is obviously we need to watch the High School Musical trilogy, like, or watch Space Jam. Like, I definitely used that a lot, but it was fun and it did work. So I feel
You're
like
on your 54th watch of High School Musical. You're like,
It's good every time.
don't be afraid to shoot the outside, Jay.
so they actually filmed it in Utah, even though it takes place in New Mexico.
This is Blake Lively's family member. Like, you don't understand. What's so artistic about this film is
Right.
Kenny Ortega was
I was
on a
just going to
heater.
say Kenny Ortega ran this boot camp. No, I think this is a combination of like a pitfall, but a piece of advice, I guess. But one, I think a lot of us are really bad listeners without intending to be. And I think especially on a first date where you're doing so much work to be like, what am I going to say next? Because it's nerve wracking. And
Yeah.
I think as much as you can, trying to remember that it's not just, the question isn't just, do they like me? Do they like me? It's, do I like them? The only way to discover that is through listening. And so I think that not filling in the silence immediately and like giving it an extra, like count to 1,001, because usually people continue their stories. And I think this is especially true for men and people who've been socialized as men, is that there's the impression that they're talking less than they really are and that they're listening well. Again, active listening would involve a lot of questions and a lot of actual genuine curiosity about the other person, which I think, you should look for. But just trying to be a good, genuine listener and trying to remember that, like, you have to decide at some level, do I like this person? Not just, were we both anxious and in the same room and then we had 2 glasses of wine and it was fine, like,
Right.
is this a person I want to like have every conversation and hear all of their stories 400 times, the same stories repeated until we both die of skin cancer in Florida together? Like, you got to pick that person,
Right.
Sequoia, do you have pitfalls?
I had a pitfall that I think also might be a piece of advice. Who knows? Basically, like, leave your biases at the door or whatever. Me and Mike did a Patreon bonus episode where we did films to be buried with and talked about some of our favorite films. We were talking about 500 Days of Summer. My immediate response to a man liking 500 Days of Summer is red flag, red flag, red flag. Unless it isn't. Unless they're sort of like, understanding the bit that's happening in that movie.
They get that Joseph Gordon-Levitt's not the good guy.
Exactly. So, like, letting those, like, little things that will, like, maybe you would immediately be like, oh, no. Being curious, being a little bit more curious about those things and being like, okay, why do you like 500 Days of Summer? And then based on that answer, you can say, I have a meeting in the morning.
I also think we forget how much of like the people that we have crushes on that happen organically and that aren't on first dates, that are like your friends or your coworker or whatever. Like, there's so much stuff we ignore in the real world that they say and do that is so like, oof, don't want to think about that. Like, one time I hope this doesn't offend anybody, but one time I had a crush on a guy who owned birds as pets. And I was like, that's kind of a horrendous thing. People who own birds are nuts. But like, I had a huge crush on him and it was way too late by the time I knew that,
Right.
So I think like when you are first dating, it's so easy to be like, oh God, I could never, like I genuinely ended it with somebody because he said that he and his brother didn't find the movie Elf funny. And I was like, that's just weird.
That's weird.
That is
That's
weird.
weird.
That's weird.
And that's not the only reason I ended it with him, but I was like, ugh. But let's be honest, if I had been friends with him for a very long time and found that out, that would have been just like one of a million pieces of information and I would have moved on.
Right.
So it's also like putting the information in perspective of like, I only know 40 things about you. So this one sticks out. But if I knew 500 things about you, maybe it wouldn't be a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Be curious is good because it does allow for a lot of different things. It makes sure you're not talking too much. It helps you to be a more active listener because, Sophia, you're exactly right. That is a great way to be better at listening and prove that you're listening is like if you ask specific questions about whatever they've talked about. Also, if they do say something that catches you off guard, if you do ask a question to clarify, then it could be like, oh, okay, they like 500 Days of Summer because they realized the right thing, or like maybe there was a reason why I can't imagine why you don't think Elf is funny. That's so strange. But
that was so weird to me. I really was. I was like, and he like bragged about it. I think that's actually what got me. He was like, yeah, my brother and I don't find that movie funny. And I was like, oh God, okay.
This is our personality, is that we're zagging on a very beloved film.
Yeah, when he gets hit by a taxi cab, that's one of the funniest pieces of physical comedy in the last 30 years. What are you talking about? You're insane.
Yeah.
You need help.
People's taste in movies is important.
It is. It says a lot.
Yeah. I also think with the questions, this reminds me of Mae Martin. I forget in which of their stand-up specials, but they have the thing where they say that conversations can just be like showing someone a snow globe collection of things that have happened and experiences that have happened to you, and you just take turns showing each other your snow globes, and someone shows you a snow globe and you're like, oh, that reminds me of a snow globe that I have, and then you just wait until they're done talking about their snow globe and then you grab yours. Like, it's so easy just to do that. And I agree with you, Sophia, we said earlier, like you're so focused on trying to say the things that you want to say and be like, my name is Mike, I'm going to remember to say that. But you got to also allow for them to talk, because I think like not only will that help you get to know that person better, but like you will do better on the date if you're not the one that is the one talking the whole time or seeming like you're not interested in them. Like you're going to help yourself in multiple ways if you are navigating that conversation a little bit better and trying to make sure it's two directions.
I also just think you have to trust that you're not going to flail so wildly that you need to be like thinking of what to say. Like I think it reminds me of like the mindset you have for an interview where there are like kind of correct answers that you want to remember to highlight this that you did at your last position or whatever.
I work too hard. I just work so
but
hard.
Like this is a date, and if somebody asks you a question and your mind goes blank for a second, then you can joke about that. Like there's no way to get any of the questions wrong.
Yeah.
So you can just not think about what you have to say. Even if they were to be like, wait, what's your name again? And you like, your mind blanks. That would be fine and funny. It wouldn't be bad. It would be like, this is hilarious. Letting go of the idea that you should be preparing what to say or saying a good thing to them and just trusting that like, I know how to communicate. I'm an adult and I'm just going to show up and have a good time. And then again, I'm hanging out with the person.
Yeah.
Well, I think that kind of touches all the major things I wanted to cover. I don't know if the two of you have any other final thoughts before we wrap things up here.
Yeah, that's about it for me. I think that covers a lot of the good dating advice that there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Covered a lot of ground.
I think we've knocked it out of the park. Well, Sophia, thank you so much for joining, being our first expert, lending the expertise, and really thank you for letting us all walk away. If we can all leave this conversation with one piece of advice, it's that they can't eat you. And
they cannot eat you.
Just makes everything okay.
It's just true. Like they can't eat you. That's it.
Yeah.
Go into a date with that mindset. They can't eat me.
They can't eat me. They can't eat me. Well, Sophia, thank you again. If people want to find you doing stuff, again, you want to plug the things where people can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at @OneFollowerNoDad. I also have a website that is onefollowernodad.com. And that's where I'll post all the stuff that I do. And you can find me there. I have, all kinds of articles and links linked there in my bio.
Great. Well, Sophia Beniot, thank you again. Until
thank
next
you so
time.
Much.
All right, it's Sequoia from the future again. We're back in the future.
Hello, we've
everyone.
done it.
We've done it.
Didn't you miss us from the intro? You're with old stuffy previous Mike and Sequoia. Now you're with
exactly
the new one. Mike's in his other closet. Ooh.
Exactly. We've transferred closets. And we just wanted to say, here we have our introvert Gen Z vibe check.
Yes.
Please hold for Podcast Ghost.
A third location.
A third location. A third time. And now it's time for our Gen Z Introvert Vibe check with our favorite podcast ghost,
Boo.
Sherry.
The deadpan boo is really good.
Boo.
It sounds like you're booing yourself. Like, oh no,
Yeah.
I don't want to be here.
Boo, extroverts.
Fair point.
Have any of you ever read the book The Power of Quiet?
I have not.
No.
It was one of the books in college we had it wasn't a signed reading, but it was like a suggested reading, mainly for like the freshmen coming in for orientation, and then they would have like discussion things about it. And because I did orientation week as an advisor every year, I also had to read those books. And one of them was The Power of Quiet. And basically the thesis statement was extroverts, boo. I'm sure there were some valid points in there, but it was just written like by the most whiny introvert person ever. And it was like, okay, like I think you can write a pro introvert book without being like, and extroverts are terrible people. Like, and it just,
Yeah.
I was also like 20, so I was probably sensitive. Still am. Sherry, how do we do on this episode? Speaking of me being sensitive.
Personally, I have not dated much, mainly because I've not put in very much effort in that realm.
Okay.
Me too.
Actually, an hour ago, I finally unpaused Hinge.
I didn't know you could pause it.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Oh, you can pause it.
Paused for over a year.
I guess I just thought you would just like stop checking it, but I don't know. Is it like LinkedIn where you're like, I'm not looking for a job right now?
It is, but they can't see you.
They stopped showing you to people.
Okay.
But yeah, overall, sensible tips. But I don't know how much I can offer because, once again, I don't have a lot of experience in this. And the awkward dates that I've been on were so bad, I've blocked them out of my memory.
Okay.
Fair.
I do agree. Dinner date as a first date is certifiably insane.
I don't understand it. It's truly, truly wild to me.
Oh, though I will say that say no to an activity that you definitely don't want to do is advice I'd never thought of, because normally I'm like, fine, whatever. Like, I guess, like, we'll just like meet you. Like, it can't possibly be that bad. It can be. It certainly can be.
It can be.
And I'm bad at lying, so I'm bad at having a cop-out plan.
Mm-hmm.
I just dig myself deeper in a hole. So that one, personally, I don't know how to use, but I do think, like, generally is good advice. But mine are always, like, the kind of absurd ones, or ones where there was one date I was on that was so bad that the guy could clearly tell I wasn't interested and offered me a cop-out plan. Was like, do you have to, like, be somewhere? And I said no, even though it's on the worst date of my life.
Sherry!
Intro. Right. Intro.
Sherry, no!
I stayed on that date for 2 more hours. This was 1 hour in.
No.
Oh my god!
I almost just ghosted this date because this
You would, ghost.
the worst Times Square, like, trendy places for dessert or like boba or something. I don't know what it was, but it was like a terrible place.
It should go without saying. We didn't even need to include the advice. Don't bring him to Times Square.
Times Square? What?
There was no pre-planning in this. I was just like, sure, whatever. So like that would have been good because I would have just like ghosted completely.
Okay.
Right.
Also, I'd like that don't be your absolute best self, because as a people pleaser, I'm always trying to be my best self, meeting new people.
Right.
And I'd never thought about like down the line. It was more like, how can I like hook you? Lure you in with my ghost trap.
It helps if you're thinking, I'm not trying to be my best self right now. It might help you lie a little better.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good point.
And also what you could do, like, if you are bad at lying, you could just like plan ahead and strictly schedule something. You know you're going on a date with someone on a Thursday night, like actively schedule a meeting at work for Friday at 9 a.m. or like call another friend and be like, can we grab coffee? Or, you know, if you're doing an afternoon hang or something, like make strict dinner plans.
Actually make the plan, yeah.
Like if you have a real thing, you might not be lying about the thing. You might just be lying about like how early you need to get there. So if you're doing like a 2 p.m. coffee and you have 7 p.m. dinner plans and at 2:45, you're like, this sucks. You'd be like, I'm getting dinner with my friend and it's, it's so far.
It's actually across the country.
Yeah.
Or you could just be like, we're in Brooklyn and it's also in Brooklyn. So it's going to take 8 hours to get there.
It's going to be, yeah, I have to go into Manhattan to get there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sherry.
We appreciate it. Thank you. What a lovely interview. It was such a fun time. Thank you to Sophia for joining. Thank you, listeners, for listening, viewers, for watching, if you watched this on YouTube and/or Spotify. And thank you, of course, to all of our patrons. We really do appreciate that we've gotten some Patreon support. If you want to support our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/professionaltalkers and you can get access to bonus video, bonus audio. We did director's commentary stuff. We're putting up the video of Sequoia and I doing the format of Brett Goldstein's movie podcast where we talk about our life through films. There's a lot of fun stuff going up on the Patreon, so check it out at patreon.com/professionaltalkers. It was nice talking to you, Sequoia.
It was great talking to you, Mike.
Listeners, we'll talk to you soon. We appreciate you listening to this episode of Professional Talkers.
Professional Talkers is created, hosted, and produced by Mike Schubert and Sequoia Simone.
Today's episode was edited by Sequoia Simone, the music is by Bettina Campomanes, and the art is by Elliot Davis.
Can't get enough of the show? Get access to loads of additional content like ad-free episodes and bonus episodes as a thank you for supporting us at patreon.com/professionaltalkers.
And if that's still not enough, follow us on social media. We're at ProTalkPod on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter.
If you want to watch the video versions of these episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@professionaltalkers.
We'd love it if you would subscribe to and rate the show on your preferred podcasting app, and we'd be especially grateful if you talked about the show to your friends or on social media. Word of mouth helps new shows grow.
Talk to you soon.